Welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on December 6th, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual, we will get started with our news here. So in terms of news, we had slightly negative numbers for non-manufacturing PMI. Okay, so here, Australia, GDP number came out negative. So before, so yesterday we had retail sales number that was positive, and now the GDP number was a negative today. So that had a negative impact here. So that's why we've seen this drop in Australian dollar. So going into December 6th here, we have ADP non-farm employment change. So this is the non-farm payrolls week. Okay, so this is the non-farm payrolls week. We have that coming up. So prior to the non-farm payroll on Friday, we usually get the ADP on Wednesday, ADP non-farm employment change, which is a precursor for non-farm number. So this will be important. And then Bank of Canada rate statement, again, we're not expecting an increase in the interest rate. However, we do need to keep in mind, or we need to pay attention to what the Bank of Canada says about the Canadian economy. So that will be important. And then we have crude oil inventories, which will be important for Canadian dollar there as well. And then trade balance for Australia. Lots of Australian news coming out this week. So those are the key things that we have. So a lot of commodity currency news coming out. So we saw commodity currencies kind of go up, but today they have dropped. So if the news keeps on coming out negative, we are likely to see more of that. So let's go on to the charts. All right, so big drop in euro here today. So now we have been making a lower highs, bearish candle close for the day. So I'm looking for price to move lower as a result. So the target here, so bias is bearish because of the bearish candle close today, looking for price to move lower into 1.1730 level, or even into the 20 level, which will be the bottom of this pin, so this support and resistance area. So looking for price to drop essentially here. If we take a look at our 1 hour chart, so the biggest thing about euro was the gap here. So as we can see, price had gapped down on the weekend and it never filled the gap. So generally what we see with the gaps is that price would gap and then it will go fill the gap and it will continue in whichever direction it wants to. So in this case, the gap never got filled. And generally when that happens, price tends to kind of go in the direction that it gapped down or it gapped in. So if it gapped down, it generally tends to go lower. So this is what we have seen here today. And now, this is where we are into this previous support and resistance level. This is our pivot point at 1.1830 level. So I'm looking for price to drop further here. So in terms of our pullback, this 1.1830 35-ish level is a good level, and maybe slightly higher into this 1.1850. That looks like a level we should pay attention to as well, but it could go all the way up into this 1.1875 level, so I would be careful with that. But the pivot point does look good because it goes into this previous support and resistance. So if it stays below, I'm looking for price to drop. So overall, I am bearish on euro dollar. Pound here, pound was a little tricky today. We had a nice drop and then price pulled back because of Brexit. So Brexit, things like that, anytime there's political stuff going on, it can do crazy things to the market, and this is exactly what we saw. We had basically the reason pound went up was because there were comments from Prime Minister Theresa May saying that they were very close to a Brexit deal, and there were only few points that needed to be hammered out, but other than that they were fairly close to it, and hence we saw price go up. And now we have a bit of a neutral, bearish to neutral candle close here. We're bearish because price did close lower than the open, but then we have a big pin on the downside that gives it bearish to neutral bias. So in this case, I'd be looking for price to go back into this 1.3368 area, into this level here. So I'm looking for price to go there, and that will be the deciding factor. If the price is able to break lower, then we could see price continue into 1.3300 level. Otherwise, we may just see price get stuck here, and then it could go higher. So the move I'm looking for is this first, and this is what could happen. It comes into 1.3368 area and then bounces off of that. But if it breaks below this low, then I'm looking for price to essentially go lower into 1.3300 area. So the bias is bearish to neutral. And if you take a look at our 1 hour chart, so we do have lower highs right now. And if that continues, so I'm looking for price to push up and then go into this area, which is sort of close to our S1, and then back into this S2 area at 1.3300. So that's our target there. Aussie dollar here, this big pin here, that suggests that price is not willing to go higher here. We have 2 weeks of price staying in this range. So we were at the top of the range, we were at important support and resistance level. So overall, Aussie is, from a larger trend perspective, Aussie is still weak. So in this case, we pushed towards the high, could not break the high, and then we have seen price reject that level. So look at this point, looking for price to drop, and I'm looking for price to come back into the 0.7535 level. And once price gets here, then again, that this will be the decision point, because now we'll be at the bottom of the range. So for now, I'm looking for price to go towards the bottom of the range, and this is still a range-bound move. So looking at our 1 hour chart, so this big drop was caused by, so this was a nice drop here. We have sort of a double top formation and engulfing candle, and nice drop here. But this here, big whipsaw, was from the news. So now we do have an inefficient move, which means the price could go all the way either here, or it could go into this support and resistance area. But the bias is bearish because we price failed at the high, and now I'm looking for price to go down towards the bottom of the range. So this is bearish. New Zealand dollar, like we talked about yesterday, price is sort of coiling in this pennant here. And now I am just at this point, this is neutral, because all I'm looking for price to do is one of these, and then either it will break down or it will break to the upside. We don't know at this point. So we're neutral and just looking for price to bounce around in this pennant, and then we'll have to see where it breaks, and we'll have to trade that accordingly. So right now we will just, I'm neutral. So once price gets into this highs here, I would be looking for a sell. If price gets into the bottom here, we could see a bounce, and that's what I'll be looking for. So that's New Zealand. So let's take a quick peek at the 1 hour here. So as we can see, price hasn't really done much, just going sideways here. Okay, dollar CAD. Dollar CAD, we have Bank of Canada tomorrow. That will definitely have an impact on this. But other than that, big drop here. So now price is likely just waiting on Bank of Canada. Very, very neutral close for the day. We have pin on both sides, small candle body. So the bias here is neutral. we could see the price go into this level and then drop from here. So there's no clear direction here. So overall, we are looking for a bearish move, but it's not a strong bearish formation here. The candle close from daily perspective is very neutral. So here's our 1 hour chart. As we can see, price is pulling back towards the previous support and resistance level, which is also our R1 level, and which is 127.20 level here. And this is where price could fail, and from here it could drop. So that's what I'm looking for price to go back towards the bottom of this level here, but it's neutral. So the bias is neutral for today. Euro Swiss franc, we talked about this yesterday. We are at the top of the range. We have a bearish candle close today, so I'm looking for a follow through. So we got rejected at the highs here, so looking for price to come back towards the bottom of the range. The target here would be for tomorrow would be 1.1620 level. So based on the daily candle close here, bias is to the downside, and 1.1620 will be the target. Pound Swiss franc, again with the pound, it was an interesting day. We did see a drop and then a pullback as all the pound crosses across the board pulled back as pound dollar pulled back. So at this point, it's just sideways right now. This is sort of the range that price has traded in the last few days. So I'm going to trade it as a range bound, or once price goes into the high at 133.20, I would be looking for a potential selling opportunity at the top if the excuse me, if the price goes into the bottom. So if it rejects here, I'm looking for the price to drop. Once it comes into the bottom here at 1.3150, I'm looking for a bounce back towards the middle of the range, until such time that we see a clear break in one direction, and then we'll get our bias there. But for now, this is neutral as well. Dollar Swiss franc, we are into the high. So this move here is similar to what we were looking at in terms of Aussie dollar. So see how price was sitting here before it broke, and then it's been range bound here. So same thing for dollar Swiss franc here, or very similar here. Price sat above this support resistance level, finally broke through, and now it's struggling with this area. So as long as price stays below 0.9880 level, we're looking, I'm looking for price to drop. Overall, the bias still remains to the downside. So as such, I would be watching, excuse me, sorry, watching this 0.9880 level. And if it stays below, then I'm looking for price to sort of do this. However, if it does break above 98.80 level, then 99.80 level or 99.50 level will be the next target, which is right over here. So the deciding factor would be 98.80 level here for this. But for now, overall bias is to the downside, but we are pushing into this resistance level. So keep that in mind. Excuse me. So, okay, sorry. Okay, so pound CAD. Pound CAD, again, just like all pound crosses, we had a nice drop and then a pullback. So with this one, this again is bearish to neutral with the candle closing lower, gives it the bearish bias, but the rejection here at previous support level, see the support level, it's quite important support level. So that makes it neutral because it has pushed up from there. So we have an interesting move here. So we had a pin bar, which would suggest price drop, and it dropped, and now we have pushed back higher. So at this point, I am neutral on this, and we would just have to see how this plays out. So for now, I am not really looking for a trade in pound CAD at this moment. Okay, so however, do keep in mind that we have Canadian dollar news coming out, but look at this formation which is very, very similar. So pound CAD looks just like this. So which means this is what could happen. So the bias here still remains to the downside. So I'm looking for price to come back into this low here of 150.50. But because we could get stuck at this support level, I would be paying attention to this. So in this case, we could see this. But however, see how price is moving lower. So the bias is to the downside, but with caution because of this pin here. So in this case, bearish to neutral bias, looking for price to drop into 150.50 level. Euro yen was interesting. We have seen few bearish candle closes here. I was looking for a bearish move, and we did see that, although I had to enter a couple of times. So with this one, I'm looking for price to drop here into 132.50 level and further into 131.80 level. So those will be the targets to the downside. Bias is still remains to the downside because of these red candle closes. However, so in terms of our positions, yen shorts have decreased. That means yen could go up, which means all the yen crosses could drop. And that's kind of what I was working off of today with the yen. I am looking for yen crosses to drop overall. And even if we take a look at this, so we are in this range. If you take a look here, this is our range. So price has been trading in this range. We tested the high 3 times, rejected it. Now I'm looking for price to go back towards the bottom of the range. So that's the bias, and it is making lower highs and lower lows. So bias is definitely to the downside. My first target would be 132.50, and then the second target would be 131.80 level. So that's that. Aussie here, big drop with the news here. So looking at the daily here, with this twice price got rejected here. So that shows that price does not have the upward momentum. So just looking at that, we would be looking for a bearish move, and we have that. So I'm looking for price to go into this 85.00 level. That will be the first target. If it breaks below, then we could go to 84.30 level here, but first target would be 85.00 level to the downside. So bearish on Aussie yen. Dollar yen, similar case scenario here. We have had pin. Price has not been able to go higher. So this is the level we were looking for price to test yesterday. It went there, and now it has rejected that level. So the bias is to the downside here. The target would be, so 112.00 will be the first target. And then below that, we are looking at 111.60 level. So the bias is to the downside for dollar yen. CAD yen, nice tweezer top here. Tweezer tops are bearish reversal patterns. I'm looking for price to drop. 87.90 would be the target here, this, or 80, so slightly lower here. Yeah, 87.80 will be the target to the downside. So bias is bearish on CAD yen as well. All right, any questions or anything to add? I will take that as a no, so we'll call it a wrap. So I will see you guys in the London session today. Good night, everyone.